this can be named anything you want, whatever you want, except for you're going to have to use this in the other blanks. So I'm going to explain that every time. Anything that you put here, I'm putting experience because this is an experience hack. I could have named it AWBF001. It really would not matter. But you're going to write as string. Oh, shit. Excuse my language, but yeah. As string. That's going to be, because it's text, it's just normal text. And experience, right here, equals textbox1.text. The actual box is not called textbox1.text as you saw before. It is named textbox1. The reason I'm writing textbox1.text is because I want the text from textbox1. So experience is equal to textbox1's text. If I put in 30 whenever I have the program running, textbox1.text is equivalent to 30. So experience equals 30. So we're going to do this. This is the actual part that I guess that you guys wanted to know. Write integer is specific to that writing memory. If you got it from some other trainer guide, it could be completely different. Some say like write 4B or write 4 bytes. This I think is actually much easier. Just write integer. So what you do is you're gonna write integer. If you wanted to type it out, you do like write integer. Oh, I can't spell right. I forgot to tell you guys I can't spell. Write integer. The only reason I'm explaining this is because I thought it made my day like 10,000 times easier. If you press tab, it just finishes off the word if it's highlighted in that box, just to make your day like a million times better. And then you're gonna put I guess they're not brackets, but I don't know what you call those things. Anyway, in between the two little curly lines, we're going to put quotes IW5 MP, which is the process, and thanks to reading writing memory that person did, you don't put .exe. It's already done for you. And then you're going to put a comma. You're going to write the address with and H at the beginning. And H, which was never explained in many of the other tutorials that I looked at, means hex. It took me about 2 hours to figure out what the stupid and H meant, so I wanted to explain that and save your frustration. And H is for hex. Addresses are in hexadecimal values because they contain numbers and letters. So you're going to type in this number, 01CC050, and you ask why is there no 0 in between here? Because if you write a 0 at the beginning, it will automatically be cut off. So if I put 050, you can enter in the exact address if you don't think it'll work, but I'm just going to show you that it does the exact same thing. If I put in experience, okay, here, I'll just do another number. If I was to put 800 here, that would mean that I would be giving 800 experience. Whereas here, I've put textbox1.text is the experience. So that number that you put in in that text box, that's here. That's your variable. And in this case, I put in a integer. I put in an actual number. So for it to actually work, it would do this. If I was to just have that 800 here, if I was to leave it like that, the computer would first put the experience to what you wanted, and then it would jump your experience to 800, and it would be not what you wanted, obviously. And if you hover over it, you can see the I don't know if I can bring my mouse over it. Okay, yes, I can. The write integer, and then it'll say process name as string. So you're going to write it as a string, which means it's just normal numbers and letters. It's not it's not hexadecimal. It's not just straight numbers. And then you're going to put a comma. You're going to put address as integer, which means a number. In this case, we're putting and H in front of it, so it knows that it's a hexadecimal value. If your address was just purely numbers, you would, well, I shouldn't say that. If you have an address that you know is just numbers, like if I was to get the numerical value for this address, you can get that, by the way, by clicking. If I was to, like, okay, here, I'll just do this. 01 CCC 050. If I click that hex, Well, actually, I should put it in hex first. 01CCC050. And then I turn that off. It shows me the actual numerical value for it. 031955792. That is the equivalence of this in as an integer. I would not need the AND H if I just put in this number. But most people don't want to spend that extra little time, and I personally didn't myself. So, oh, that also is the number that you're seeing whenever you select a weapon in my program. Whenever you selected a weapon before, that little box that you couldn't write into, and you're wondering what that number meant. That was the address as a number. So if you were making your own program, you could use my program to find the addresses. And the reason I put that there was, for one, I was new to programming and I needed to have a text box that had text in it. I now know how to do it without, but anyway, you could do that. And also, now you get to see the address. And if there was a problem with an address, you could link it to me, and then I could just search for it and find the problem. So that's why I had that in there. This rest of this is pretty much straightforward. I was explaining that a checkbox is the exact same thing as a button being pressed down. If I click down, if I check this box, that's the same thing as pressing down on this button. Whereas letting go of it, obviously, is like letting go of the button. So whenever you check the box, it does the same thing. I told it to write, or this is the amount of coding that you actually had to do. The dim, or dimension experience as a string, the experience equals what, and then you write it to the memory. The combo box, I wanted to give y'all a example of two different versions of the combo box. The one I originally had was this. So whenever y'all selected a, here, let me run this. Whenever y'all selected a number, the first two would instantly jump you to whatever number you wanted, and I didn't like that personally, so I want to explain it to you in another way. It uses if-then statements, so if combo1.text equals level 1, then write integer and the value of level 1. If combo box 1 equals level 2, by the way, these are in quotes because I've entered them in. They're not any form of value. They are just words. Then this. If combo box equals level 3, then textbox1.text. So whenever I go to this and I select level 3, I'm setting textbox1.text equals 1600. This is how I got it to select the level. It inserted it in here, and then you could click hack. I think that's preferable in my honest opinion. And it actually takes less coding. If you see, I don't have to write integer, the address, and then the number a million times. I could just write textbox1.text equals then the number. It would have saved me an hour or two of work of copying and pasting numbers from my text file for experience values. I had to sit there and I'd write integer. I had to sit there and go to, it's been modified from outside the source editor. Do you want to reload it? Yes. Okay. I had to sit there and I had to constantly keep typing in new numbers. I had to copy and paste it. It was just annoying. So I could have just copied and pasted this whole file, or just this whole file, used like the control F, like find and replace the numbers with textbox1.text. It would have saved me a lot of time. But anyway, that's a basic example. You do if then statements, and you have to make sure you end your if between each one. That sounds kind of stupid, but end if is to tell it that you're done with that if then statement. You could always do an else statement. So if I was doing like that checkbox, I was like, if it isn't checked, so I would do an else. Then I could put in that function.